Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. I want to take a few minutes to talk about Sandman. A Netflix series is coming out for the original comic book. I'm actually a big fan of the comic book, and I'm looking forward to the show. But let me tell you, it's been fascinating to watch all the controversy that has swirled up around it. Some of you may remember a month, maybe 2 months back, when we had a whole conversation about Superman being race bended. And I mentioned that sometimes I feel like when companies make these characters black, they're pandering to a specific audience and doing it in a way that is honestly kind of disrespectful to black people. And I absolutely hate it when they set up black characters to fail. This is not one of those examples of pandering. What is happening right now with Sandman makes absolute sense. And a bunch of bigots have decided that they're going to be offended by it. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. I don't use the word bigot lightly. Again, when we went back to Superman, I didn't call out all those people who had an issue with Superman being made black. I completely understood where they were coming from and said that there are some serious issues with what is being proposed. This is not the case, all right? There are two casting decisions in this upcoming Sandman series that have got people all in an uproar, and both of them are absolutely in the bounds of the lore of the comic book if you actually bother to read the comic book or are actually a fan of it and not just looking for a reason to complain about diversity. We're going to start with Death, who is, in many people's view, the most popular character that Neil Gaiman has ever created. She is, from the point of view of the reader throughout the book, someone who has very, very pale skin, black hair, and overall a goth outfit. She is going to be played by a woman who is black. And so there's been an uproar of people saying, this is race bending, this is pandering, she should absolutely be played by a white woman, blah, 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 blah. Nobody who's actually read the comic book feels this way. I'm sorry. There is no way you can understand the lore of the book and say that Death should be white. First of all, Death is not human. Second of all, the book makes completely clear on multiple occasions that Death changes her look based upon who she is having a conversation with. Because part of her whole role is that she wants people to become more comfortable right before death. And oftentimes she is meeting people who are about to die. So there are instances in the comic book where she is a black woman, a Chinese woman. Hell, they can make her a man in this Netflix series, and it will still be within the bounds of lore. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever that Death has to be white. I mentioned back in that Superman video that for me personally, when I'm deciding whether or not I'm comfortable with a character being race bended, I have to consider, is the look of this particular character integral to who that person is? What is it that really makes this character distinguishable from all the other characters in comic books? And when it comes to Death, what truly makes her distinguished is not just her look. The true hallmark or core of the character is that she just comes off as an extremely down-to-earth person, as opposed to the main character, Dream, who is in a lot of ways aloof. There's a lot of crazy things going on with him. He's not exactly a relatable guy. But Dream seems like that kind of chick that you could go have a beer with, that you would love to be able to sit on the couch and watch Netflix or play video games with. That is what made her such an incredible character, that you could take someone who is basically responsible for death and make her quite possibly the most likable person in the entire book. Not her being white. Her being white is not what is central and core to her being awesome. But you got a bunch of bigots who don't care about this comic book at all that will run around and use their little platforms to try to convince you that, oh no, it's the fact that she's white. That's what makes her so great. And we need to keep it that way. It is absolutely insane. And the second casting that they have an issue with is even more ridiculous. So there's another character in this comic book named Desire. All right. Again, she's part of that same family can twist around her looks in whatever way she sees fit. Desire is going to be played by Mason Alexander Parker, who is a non binary actor, actress, however you want to define it. You've got this whole uproar of people who are like, oh my God, how could you cast a non binary person in this role? Again, these are people who have not read the comics. Let's go to the wiki and look at the definition that is provided for who Desire is. Desire is described as being of medium height and smelling faintly of summer peaches. It is a strikingly beautiful androgynous figure of gender fluidity. It can be male, female, both, or neither as the situation warrants. Are you kidding me? But hold on. I already know what you're thinking. It's Wikipedia. Who trusts Wikipedia? Who uses Wikipedia as a resource? That's fine. Let's go to Neil Gaiman's Twitter account and see what he describes Desire as. Desire is a trans pansexual in a polyamorous relationship with all of us. How in the fuck can you read the comic, know that that is an accurate description of who this character is, and then at the same time get upset that a non-binary person is going to be playing it? That is insane. It makes zero sense unless you've never read the comic book anyway, and you're not a real fan. You're just a bigot who now sees an opportunity to complain about diversity. So, what does Neil Gaiman think about all this? Is he sweating this? Is it worrying him about how the Netflix show is going to do? Hell no. Let's go to IGN, which so thankfully provided this story. Neil Gaiman gives zero fucks about toxic backlash to Sandman casting. Scrolling down a little bit in the article, this is a direct quote from Gaiman. I give all the fucks about the work. I spent 30 years successfully battling bad movies of Sandman. I give zero fucks about people who don't understand, haven't read Sandman, whining about a non-binary desire or that death isn't white enough. Watch the show, make up your minds. Perfect. Perfect response. I get so tired of the people who actually appreciate diversity and standing up for it being mealy-mouthed about it. And when they're challenged, either backing down, caving, or saying, maybe I made a mistake, I really, really appreciate the candor of his response, because it clearly shows that he realizes he's not talking to his fans. He's not talking to the people who have really supported his projects. I'm sorry. If you're the type of person who does not mind reading a story about a non-binary individual in a polyamorous relationship who does horrific things throughout the story and lives in a living statue of themselves, you also do not have an issue with one character being race bended. I'm sorry. I know that's an assumption. That's the only non-factual thing I've said, but I feel very confident about this. The group that is running around complaining and whining about every black character that's put into a show does not mix with the type of group that is going to find enjoyment in these type of stories. And I think it's also worth noting, Sandman came out in the 90s. That means back in the 90s, Neil Gaiman made a comic book series that many see as the pillar of his literary catalog, and in it was a character who could legitimately be described as a hermaphrodite in a living statue of themselves. If that's not woke, I don't know what is. So all these people trying to say that, well, he's getting woke now and he's selling out now, don't know shit about what he's been writing. Nothing. Anyway, I'm sorry. I had to get that off my chest. I'm a fan of Sandman. I'm really looking forward to the Netflix show, and I honestly don't appreciate watching it getting crapped on by a bunch of people who could care less. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. Let me know down in the comments. What are your thoughts? Do you feel like death absolutely has to be a white woman? If so, I would love to hear why, because it doesn't make any sense to me. And what are your overall thoughts on the show? Are you looking forward to it? Do you plan to watch Sandman when it comes out to Netflix? Were you a fan of the comic? Or is this all kind of irrelevant to you? Let me know down below. Leave me a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more content. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.